Some sentences follow people for years, not because they were screamed, not because they were dramatic, but because a child heard them at the exact age where they were still figuring out, who am I? Am I lovable? Is something wrong with me? And the strange part is, many emotionally immature parents don't even realize how deeply these phrases stick. Because to the parent, it may sound like frustration, but to the child, it can sound like identity. Number 1. Why are you like this? To a parent, it may feel like a passing moment. But to a child, it can sound like there's something wrong with who you are. And children take that personally, very personally. Because kids naturally assume, if my parents react to me this way, maybe everyone else will too. So they start shrinking parts of themselves. They talk less, hide emotions faster, second guess their personality before other people get the chance to reject it. And to be very honest, a lot of adults who call themselves self-conscious were once children who felt constantly criticized for simply existing the wrong way. But emotionally immature parents don't just criticize personality. Sometimes they teach children to feel watched inside their own body. You're too fat, or you're too skinny. Parents sometimes say these things casually. Children don't hear them casually. And that's the difference. A child who gets criticized for their appearance doesn't just become aware of their body. They become aware of themselves all the time. How they stand, how they sit, whether people are looking at them too long. And the frightening part is, many emotionally immature parents genuinely think they're helping. Which means a child can grow up wounded by someone who thought they were being honest. And honestly, some people don't develop body insecurity from mirrors. They develop it from repeatedly feeling examined. And then comes one of the most painful phrases a child can hear. I wish you were more like your brother, your sister, or someone else. Comparison changes the way children experience love. Because now love feels ranked, conditional, something that can be lost to someone better. A parent may think, I'm motivating them. But many children hear, who you are right now is disappointing. And after enough comparisons, children stop asking, who am I? And start asking, who do I need to become to finally be accepted? That question quietly follows people for years. Sometimes entire personalities get built around it. People pleasing, perfectionism, fear of disappointing others. And the painful part? Some children become so focused on earning love, they never learn what unconditional love is supposed to feel like. And emotionally immature parents often defend these behaviors the same way every time. That's the way I was raised, and I turned out fine. This sentence usually shuts the conversation down immediately. Because now the focus is no longer, did this hurt the child? It becomes, was the parent a bad person? But surviving something does not automatically make it healthy. A person can function normally while still carrying shame, emotional numbness, anger they never learned how to express. And honestly, some people say, I turned out fine, while becoming uncomfortable the moment emotions enter the conversation. That's the strange thing about childhood. People often normalize what they had to emotionally survive. But the last phrase might be the most emotionally confusing of all, because it teaches children that love can become debt. After everything I've done for you, this is where guilt quietly enters the relationship. Instead of solving the actual issue, the parent makes the child feel selfish for even being hurt. And over time, the child learns, if someone sacrifices for me, I owe them emotional obedience. They struggle to say no, disappoint people, set boundaries without feeling guilty afterward. Because somewhere, deep down, they still associate love with repayment. And honestly, that's one of the clearest signs of emotional immaturity. When the child slowly becomes responsible for protecting the parent's feelings. And maybe the hardest part about emotionally immature parents is this. Many of them genuinely love their children. But love does not automatically create emotional safety. Sometimes people pass down emotional wounds without realizing it, because those wounds were normalized long before the child was born. And children rarely stop loving emotionally immature parents. Instead, they usually learn to become harder on themselves. That's why these phrases stay for so long. Because after enough years, the parent's voice quietly becomes your own. And sometimes, healing begins with realizing that voice was never supposed to become the way you speak to yourself forever. Long after the moment has passed, the echo remains. Not in the walls, not in the room, but in the quiet places within us, where old words settle like dust and forgotten wounds learn to speak. Until one day, their voice becomes our own. And perhaps healing begins not when the echo disappears, but when we finally recognize that it was always an echo and never the truth of who we are.